Hello everybody, welcome to sunny and blue and white Miami. A few clouds out there by the beach, but that doesn't really worry us because we're here at the Wayfair Arena. Not far away from the Everglades, to be honest. And why are we here? Well, we're here for the third day of competition of the Pro Padel League. It's the day when we will find out definitively who is going to be playing in Sunday's podium day for third and fourth, and of course second and first. It's myself, Paul Giblin, and I'm with Mr. Eric McKee.
Hi Paul. Well, the only thing we know so far is just one club have been knocked out, Toronto.
Exactly, everything else to be decided. We've got 8 big matches to be played, and some old rivalries and some old friendships which have turned into rivalries. It's going to be a very very intense day of paddle here in the Wayfair Arena.
Looking forward to today's final day of group competition, of course. Podium day on Sunday, that it is the decider. Inaugural event, the first this season in Miami. Your favourite, Paul?
We'll have a look. Well, obviously, the Pro Padel League is a different format to other competitions in paddle because it's a team competition. So let's have a little look at how this works out.
The Pro Padel League will host their first event of 2025 in sunny Miami, Florida, returning with a new and innovative format. 10 clubs will participate in this competition, each with representation in both the men's and women's divisions. The competition will last 4 days, with each club playing 2 matches during the first 3 days. Men's and women's doubles matches will be played as best of 3 sets with golden point and a 10-point super tiebreak in the third set. The top 4 clubs in both the men's and women's divisions, based on their records after the first 3 days, will qualify for podium day. The fourth and final day of competition will be called podium day, and it will feature the third place and final matches in both divisions, where the event champions will be crowned.
Well, we think that's all going to be a lot clearer after today, and because look at Saturday's schedule. We're starting off with the Houston Volts against the Las Vegas Smash. We'll follow that up in the early session with the San Diego Stingrays against the Flow Rider Goats. That looks like a really close one. After the break, 6 p.m. start local time here in Miami. New York Atlantics against the Miami Padel Club. John Sands now facing his former teammate at the Atlantics, Augustin Tapia. That is one to look forward to. And how much will there be to play in the last match? The LAB against the Arkansas Matrix. This is how things are decided.
Well, really important, of course, to try and finish first. You take 25 points, men's and women's teams separately. And of course, the combined points are useful because come the end of the season, the finale will take place in New York, the Cities Cup. Now, the team that finishes bottom will take 0 points. You can see first, 25, 19, 15, 12. Those are the points to be decided in the final day of competition on Sunday.
Exactly, that shows that even if you're not going to make the podium day, it's important to try and win matches because the points will all add up towards the Cities Cup, which will be in New York in the middle of October.
Now, Miami, we saw the inaugural event last year, a very successful 2024, won by Miami. Can they do it again this season, Paul?
Well, we'll find out. They started pretty well. Let's have a look at what happened yesterday on Friday. We began with with New York against the LAB, the East against West. And unlike what Jim Morrison says, in this case, the West wasn't the best.
I mean, Ustero and Adi were superb. I mean, they didn't really give their opponents much of a chance. Double set, 6-2, 6-2. It was good to see Barrera back, but of course, she spent almost a year out with a nasty knee injury.
Exactly, they didn't really give their rivals a great deal of options, and hitting the floor, really running. That's going to be a fantastic game later on this evening. New York Atlantic against the Miami Padel Club. I'm already looking forward to it. It looks very, very even, but they're really showing their ranking points. Ari and Ustero.
World #1. Adi, of course, making that trade, that big trade, the first trade of the off-season, moving from local club here in Miami to one of the contenders for the title, New York Atlantics.
Exactly, and we followed that up with the match for the men, and John Sanz at his new team. He was playing alongside the Brazilian Lucas Campagnolo, and they took on Pablo Lijo and Alvaro Cepero.
It was quite a cult, as you can see from the scoreline, 6-2 first set. I don't think it was a fair reflection of what we saw out on this court here at the Wayfair Arena. Second set went to a tie-break. There were lots of golden points, contested points. It was quite a dramatic game, but in the end, it was a double for New York, taking both the men's and the women's, and they're in a very good position to qualify for Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, also, just thinking about this match, you know, Lijo and Cepero, they got going, didn't they, in the second set? They made it really hard for Campa and John Sands, even though they came through in the end. And Lijo, big hitter, and Cepero, I liked him. He was a really busy player, wasn't he? Covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, I thought they played excellently because, of course, the Atlantics were favourites. On paper, doesn't mean you guarantee success, and I mean, they didn't really give their opponents much of a chance. We've seen so many matches here at this Wayfair Arena, breaks in the opening service game.
I think that's been one of the absolute rules that we've laid down, isn't it? The first game of every match starts off with a service break, but we'll have to see. I'm going to say I do think the New York Atlantics are one of the big favourites, not just today, not just for tomorrow perhaps, but also for the whole tournament. But I say this match against Miami later on is going to be really decisive because one of them might miss out on the podium.
Miss out, and I suppose Miami, of course, runners-up last season. There was a derby in the final. If you missed it, the Cities Cup. Flow Rider Goats beating Miami 2-1 in New York.
Okay, well, we talked about East against West. This is more like South against the West Coast. San Diego Stingrays against the Houston Volts. And this was a lot happier for the West Coast side. The San Diego Stingrays winning both of their matches.
Well, Veronica, be to say that, I thought had a really, really good game. And it was a good win for Volts, who, of course, last season came close to making that final, the Cities Cup, which is the main goal for all the teams taking part. There are 10 franchises, 8 from the US, 1 from Canada. Though unfortunately, they were sent packing yesterday, Toronto Polar Bears and also the Cancun Waves, who are doing very well indeed.
Yeah, indeed. This was another game with really well-balanced pairing for San Diego. Lucia Sainz, obviously a veteran.
The experience.
Really, of the old school of paddle, keeps the ball moving, and with Vero Verceda, who's got a big...
so few errors.
A big hit on her. And looking at the men's game, this was really interesting, I thought. Ivanchu Ramirez and Alberto Garcia Trabanco. In the end, obviously...
It was a long tie break.
San Diego came through, but they really, really had to work for it. And there was just a little moment of really bad luck as well when...
He caught his hand, didn't he, Trabanco? He raced out off court, which he can do often, caught his hand on the doorway, and there's a bit of swelling around the knuckles, and of course it was his playing hand, which made things quite difficult for Trabanco.
Yeah, exactly. Jairo Bautista and Alex Choth as well. Both pretty big hitters, but I have to say I was impressed by Alberto Garcia Trabanco, and say that little hand injury came just at the wrong moment for him. And it was a bit easier, wasn't it, than in the second set for Bautista and Chothas.
But Bolts and Stingrays, I mean, they still have a chance to qualify. That is, I mean, it makes it entertaining, dramatic, because nearly everything will be decided on the third day of competition. Now, we're seeing teams from last season, those who followed the PPL campaign in 2024, would have seen plenty of movement on the rosters. Of course, you need a minimum of 6 players, you can have 9 players. There have been trades. There could still be trades between now and the end of the regular season. Of course, next up is Spain, San Sebastian, North Coast. Beautiful city. Get the chance to do go. That's in July. Then it's Guadalajara in August. The Hamptons is a really good event.
In Mexico, Guadalajara,
not in Spain.
Not Guadalajara, close to Madrid.
Last day of August ends the 1st of September, the Hamptons, and then everybody's gearing towards 8 teams will qualify. Only 8 out of the 10 for the Cities Cup in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay, well, that finished our morning session. Then in the evening, we came back with the reigning champions, with the Flow Rider Goats against the Arkansas Matrix. And well, what can we say? It's really experienced pair for Flow Rider Goats, Delfi Brea and Gemma Triay, who play together in other competitions, which is a bit of an advantage.
That added benefit, which of course, those shots down the middle, if you're playing paddle for the first time, a great place to hit those boards is down the middle, the corridor of uncertainty, where the players go for that ball. Sometimes you're not too sure whether to play it down the middle. If you're in doubt, the middle's the best choice.
It was Gemma Triay and Delfi Brea for the goats, and for Arkansas it was Aranceli Martinez and Bea Caldera, who came in for Patti Yaguna, who will...
Patty's going to play today.
Patti is going to play today, so I think that's an example we're seeing of a little bit of squad rotation.
We saw that also Alex Reif, who played the first game, he didn't play last night. I think we're talking about... and, well, some great men's doubles games that we saw last night. I think one of the fastest I've ever seen in I don't know how many years of watching paddle.
Okay, and after the women's match for the goats against the Matrix, it was Big Bang Pow time, wasn't it, really? It was Pablo Cardona and Leo Ausberger taking on Alex Arroyo and Gonzalo Rubio in what was actually, I think, the most entertaining game of paddle I've ever seen in
there
my
were
life.
very few long rallies. I mean, all four players were hitting outrageous smashes. I mean, Leo was outstanding. Cardona, two huge hitters. Their opponents played very well. They mixed things up a little, used a few more ground shots to try and counter those big shots from the net. And it flew by. I mean, a 7-6, 6-3, and it took an hour.
Absolutely ridiculous. And Arroyo and Rubio, they struggled at the start just to say, well, how can we deal with this? How can we find our position on the court?
They took a lead as well in the first set.
They were a point off a break point. And what I would say about Arkansas is that they worked it out well. You know, they really got back into things. And it's not easy against Cardona and Ausberger, because it was almost impossible to try and lob them, because it just came, well, it didn't come back at you, sort of went back over your head.
You've got to mix things up, of course. You can't be predictable when you play paddle. The lob is probably one of the most used shots in paddle. It can be defensive, also counter-attacking. But of course, when you're up against players like Cardona and Leo, who are massive hitters, that lob has to be perfect. And even perfect, we saw last night, wasn't good enough.
Exactly. Well, they'll be in action a little bit later on against San Diego. And our last match last night, I think this really surprised us. I think it was going to be a really close match with both of them, I expected.
I think this is an upset. It's an upset, not just because it was 6-2, 6-love, but a lot of people thought that Guinart and Iglesias, who have been together, they actually teamed up together last season. They played for Toronto, they played together, they became doubles partners after a PPL event, but they were played off the park.
Yeah, exactly. Marina Lobo and Sofia Sainz, who gave signs in their opening day defeat to...
Yeah, they were really good in that second set. They lost in 2 sets, but they did improve in that loss, and they carried on from where they left off in that second set in their defeat by taking it 6-2, 6-love.
And we saw a different side to the players. While they were a little bit more aggressive, rather than trying to be defended, maybe almost brutalized by Martita Ortega.
On day one, of course, they played against Martita Ortega, who is former world #1, and she was excellent. They couldn't really get in their groove. And then this came up, and Alex Reif, the captain, opted to sit out and watch from the sidelines. He was almost acting as a second coach. And two players that do play together regularly, I mean, were electrifying.
We have indeed. Has to be said that Franco Maxi Arce, so they play together, as you say. Maxi is one of the quickest players I have ever seen.
We were comparing Maxi to Chingotto, Fede Chingotto, just how quick, not the tallest of players, dynamic, back and forth, would turn defense into attack in the blink of an eye, would always look to get to the net. Of course, if you want to win points, you're more likely to win the points if you are at the net. It's difficult, deep, those ground shots, passing shots, but those two players are brilliant, and then we see the celebrations. Why? Because last year they missed out on the Cities Cup. This year they have a very good chance of qualifying for Sunday's final.
I think we have to talk a little bit about Cancun, don't we? They obviously missed out last year. They've made lots of signings, lots of young and lots of up-and-coming players. And what we saw is a really good team spirit. And
we saw that at the end, those celebrations.
And the men's team, they're, I think with 2 wins,
I wonder if Alex
we're
is
almost
going
to
to opt, Paul, to sit out again and leave Maxi with Franco, or will he re-enter?
See, I think if I was the captain, I would say, my place here is on the bench.
They played so well. I mean, Maxi and Franco were superb.
Anyhow, that was yesterday. And now we're going to have a little look ahead to today and our first match of the session. No, we're just as good as our Spanish compatriots, however.
Who are worse?
Our first match.
Pete and Javi, who are commentating the Spanish live feed, haven't got one right. Well, they have, a few, but not many.
They keep sending us text messages as it goes on. Anyhow, as it goes on. First up, Houston Volts against the LA Smash, Marta Barrera and Marta Caparros against Sofia Araujo and Martita Ortega.
I've got Araujo and Ortega as my favourites in this women's doubles.
Exactly, yeah. Sofia Araujo is actually higher ranked than Alejandra Alonso,
and
who played yesterday.
On day one.
Exactly. So we're going to go for Las Vegas in the women. And
We're agreeing here?
We're agreeing again,
okay.
yeah. In the men, Alberto Garcia and Pepe Aliaga, who's in this time against Gonzalo Alonso and Xisco Hill, who also steps in.
Good to see Garcia recovering after that hand injury. Aliaga coming in for the first time. Was a healthy scratch on day one. I'm not too sure. What about you, Paul?
I'm going to go for Las Vegas. Okay,
yeah, Xisco Gonzalo, 2-0.
San Diego against Flo Rida. Vero Verceda, Lucia Sainz against Gemma Triay and Delfi Brea.
That's a really big one. Four powerhouses.
You got to go for Delfi and Gemma, I think. I think so, but I think it could go to 3 sets.
Oh yeah, I think we're going to see a super tiebreak in that one. I agree, though.
So this is worrying.
Delfi,
okay, men, Maxi Sanchez and Jairo Bautista, Pablo Cardona and Leo Ausberger.
I mean, if Cardona and Leo play like they did last night, I think we could be in store for another quick one.
Yeah, I think we should start calling Cardona and Ausberger SpaceX because they're nearly getting to orbit.
They were brilliant.
Okay, moving on from that one. So we're saying Cardona and Ausberger, aren't we?
Yeah, I agree with you this one as well,
yeah.
Paul.
Next one, afternoon session, New York Atlantics, Miami Padel Cup.
That's a massive one. That's a repeat of
last
the
year's
Cities Cup semi-final.
It is
when
indeed.
New York Atlantics got beaten by Miami 2-1.
Okay, Andrea Ustera and Ari Sanchez against Virginia Herrera and Jess Castello.
I think the favourites are Ari, but I'm going to go with Riera and Jessica, just to disagree with you.
Just to be different, yeah.
And also, they played brilliantly. They were really good in that victory.
They did. They came
back against the Toronto Polar Bears.
Okay, I'm going to go with Ari and Andrea, but I think it's going to be really close. I'm not sure if 3 sets, but 6-4, 7-5, something like that for the men. Lucas Campagnolo and John Sanz against Edu Alonso and Augustin Tapia. I think that's the game of the match of the day, isn't it?
I mean, Tapia was really good. Edu Alonso, the two play really well together. You've got somebody who makes very few mistakes. You've got somebody who puts away every single smash in Tapia. World #1. I mean, they are favourites. We have seen a few upsets so far here at the PPL. Why? Because a lot of players don't normally play with their doubles partners here. It makes this event unique, also more competitive. But despite that, I do think Tapia will win.
And your prediction is?
Tapia.
Yeah,
and Alonso.
I think so, but once again, really close. Really close. Okay, last one of the day. LA beat against the Arkansas Matrix. Julia Polo and Martina Facio against Bea Caldera and Patti Jaguno.
Oof, this is, I mean, I'm a big fan of Patti. I mean, she plays so well, reads the game like, I mean, her IQ, her paddle IQ is extremely high. I think Patti would do well. Also, she didn't play on day one. She's had a good rest.
Okay, and for the men, Pablo Lijo. Sorry, put yourself on the line. So you're saying the Arkansas Matrix?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Okay, I think I'm going to have to go agree with you again. That means I'm not going to get beaten in the prediction league. And with the men, Pablo Lijo and Alvaro Cepero, Inigo Joffrey and Alex Arroyo. I'm going to say Joffrey in for Gonzalo Rubio, which is a little bit of a surprise. Very similar player. In fact, he used to partner Rubio. I'm going to go for Arroyo and Joffrey.
Okay, I'll agree with you in this one, Paul. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think we're going to see some really big ties. And of course, what's really important is if you do lose, try and pick up a set or try and pick up as many games as you can. Why? Because they are all totaled up. And winning a set or winning an extra game could be enough to qualify for Sunday's final.
Well, you've heard our predictions. They're not really worth that much. What really counts is what happens out there on court.
Another day, and once again, it's time to start our first official match of the day. So please strap in, because this is going to be intense from the beginning. And please, taking the court first, let's give it up for the Houston Bolts. Let's welcome Marta Barrera. Marta Caparros. Araujo. And Pepe Aliaga. Some noise for the Las Vegas Smash. Let's welcome Sofia Araujo. Martita Ortega. Gonzalo Alfonso. And Chisco Hill.
Well, as we said, what really matters is not our opinions, it's what happens out on court. So let's get ready for our first match of the early session, and it is the Houston Volts against the Las Vegas Smash. The Volts under a little bit of pressure. The Las Vegas Smash looking to make sure that they are with us again tomorrow on podium day. I'm going to start off with our women's match, Marta Barrera and Marta Caparros taking her place.
There are three Martas in action, Tay, in this first game.
Well, I think Marta's going to play really well. Two of them with the same first names makes our life much easier.
Have you brought your calculator with you? Because we're going to need it. Now, the way this works, if you've been following from day one, you might have a good idea. If not, we'll quickly explain. It's men's and women's. They play separately, but they play as a team. Why? Because the combined results help the team to qualify for the season finale in New York. But to qualify for Sunday, the men's results count, and separately the women's results. So we could see a team with the women's doubles in the final, but not the men's. Now, if you win both matches, the two matches you play at the group stage, you will qualify. But if you win and lose, it will go down to the number of sets you've won. It could go down to the number of games you've won, the number of points. And if everything is tied, difficult but possible, it would be a coin toss. So if you're losing 5-0, you have to try and win as many games as possible, because one single game could see your team make podium day. First, second, third, and fourth, 25 points for the winner. Fourth place takes 12. I mean, 12 doesn't sound like much, it's less than half the points a winner takes, but the team that finishes bottom take 0 points, ninth just 1 point. Remember, it's only 8 of the 10 franchises that qualify for the PPL, the Cities Cup.
I'm going to wait until the end of the day before making my calculations.
We're going to need help.
Actually, I'm not going to make any calculations. I'm just going to leave it to the algorithm.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I think, you know, of course here, the loser will go home and the winner could have a chance of qualifying for Sunday. Now, we're seeing rosters use that depth they have in that roster. Marta Caparros coming in. Sofia Araujo coming in. She flew into Miami on the Wednesday, opted to rest. That was a team decision, so she's fresh. Marta did play in game 1 and played superbly.
I think it depends when they got out, doesn't it? Because Sofia was on the same flight as us and had the luxury of being able to rest for a day, which is nice.
But they were out training. I mean, there's a good practice court behind. It's fully booked from 8 in the morning until play finishes. Last night was a slightly earlier finish than day 1, about, I think it was 11 o'clock local time here in Miami, because there are 2 different sessions. There is a session that commences at 11 o'clock local time. Now, I know a lot of people are watching
basically
in Europe.
now.
It's 5 Central European summertime in the evening. A lot of people tuning in and watching the PPL. Why? Because it's headed to Spain in July. And then there's an evening session, which commences no earlier than 6 local time. Now, should, of course, the early session overrun into the evening session, that'll be put back a bit later, should the early session finish like it did yesterday, Paul, around 4:30 local time, you'd have a 90-minute gap before the evening session commences.
Yeah, exactly. Anyhow, Houston, one of the teams that their big vocation is to have young players. There is Marta Caparros, 17th of March 2001, plays on the drive. We've seen her in the lobby. She's really tall.
And a big hitter. I mean, commands the net. And I do think that Marta is favourite. Why? Because her experience. She was here last year and she repeats as well. Las Vegas Smash. She opted to renew her deal with the team from Vegas. And she's playing with the #1 from Portugal.
There is Martita Ortega. So was the youngest ever world #1.
Just 22 years old.
22 years old, 14th of February 1997. A qualified doctor as well, just like Barbara Las Heras.
She's resting today, Barbara. Might be because she's just returned from injury.
And we'll have a look at Sofia Araujo in a moment.
Started playing tennis and became Portugal #1 in tennis and then transferred into paddle.
Exactly the details for Sofia, top Portuguese player, 30th of November 1994. She's currently in the top 10 in the overall rankings. So her and Marta ranked obviously higher than their rivals. Just to let you know, Marta Caparros, 3 Martas out of 4.
3 Martas.
Pretty good, isn't it? She's replacing Lorena Rufo for this match, and I think they've brought her in. Do you reckon? Because Lorena's a lot slighter, she's a lot smaller, and I think they've just decided they need to try and counteract the power that Martita Ortega and Sofia Araujo can put out there.
Yeah, they kind of suffered in their loss, because when you get to the net, of course, the shot is either going to be a passing shot, a drive, or a lob. And they did a lot of work tracking back, trying to get to the net, and they didn't dominate the net. So they've brought in a player who does dominate the net, looking probably to counter, you know, the strategic play you get from, I was going to say Marta Ortega. I have to use the surnames here. Martita Ortega.
Yeah, she's ruthless as well as Martita Ortega, isn't she? She doesn't take any prisoners on the paddle court.
Just hearing how the point scoring works, of course, it's very similar to tennis. Unique, you get a golden point at deuce, a tie break, but if it's 1 set all, 1 set apiece, you have a super tie break, and that is until 10 points. Have to win by at least 2.
1 minute.
Just a minute before we get back into action. So Las Vegas, they kicked off their participation in this year's Pro Padel League against the Cancun Waves.
Cancun Waves are the surprise package. When we were looking at the roster, I have to say, I was thinking, wow, they really have gone for youth over experience, giving an opportunity, you know, a world stage, PPL, to bright upcoming stars. And they have starred here because yesterday they won both games, and Cancun are going to be playing on Sunday. Now, we don't know yet all the teams. If you were listening early in the preview, we know that Toronto are out. there's going to be
The match will start
a
in 2
podium
minutes.
game, first and second, and also third and fourth playoff on Sunday.
Exactly, but I say that's going to, who plays what and who's where, that's one for the algorithms later on. There's lots of clever people around.
And also,
us,
it's going to change as well. You imagine, because it'd be shifting that standing.
Well, if you could go to
depending on the
games
results, and whoever goes last will have that maybe added benefit of thinking, okay, we know what we need to do. We might have to win 6-2, 6-1.
I think one of the things to say is I think there's only been one match so far has gone to a super tiebreak, if I'm correct, 1 out of 12. So nearly all of them have been decided in 2 sets. We've had tiebreaks and we've had a few long matches, but very few that have gone to a super tiebreak. I think my memory serves me right, just the one.
Victoria Iglesias losing that third set to Virginia Riera and Jessica Castellón. They won that first set, they lost the second set, then lost the super tiebreak.
So, all ready for our opening match. Another 7 after this one today. Another intense day here in the Wayfair Arena in Miami, where we are undercover, which I think is probably a good thing.
Just quickly, if you are in Miami, do snap up the very few remaining tickets on sale. Sellout yesterday, also on day 1. There will be a sellout today and definitely on Sunday. I'm told that there are a handful of tickets remaining that will be snapped up.
There's Lorena Araujo just sitting down, taking her place. Putting the finishing touches to the preparation. And in just a few moments, we will be ready to go.
There's Martita, who could play 3 games during this PPL event in Miami. They are favourites to win. If they do win, I'm sure they'll be playing again on Sunday. But of course, having rested Sofia Araujo, I wonder who will play the final alongside Marta.
I can't imagine Marta not playing if they qualify.
First name on that team list.
Players to the court, please.
Okay, both teams wearing white.
And there's 3 martyrs. It'll make our life tough, Paul.
Or
Goal
easy,
violation
depending.
uniform, Houston bench.
Okay, we can't just say
Law
Marta,
15.
okay? It's Marta Barrera, Marta Caparros,
Martita
Marta
Ortega.
and Sofia Araujo. I suppose we can call Marta Ortega Martita.
Martita, I would
That's
say
how
so.
she wants to be called.
Which is quite surprising, that I wouldn't. Sort of a diminutive form. Right, it's Marta Caparros to get us going. Decisively finished there by Marta Barrera.
Oh, shot down the middle there from Martita. Good pick up from Araujo.
And remember what we've always said is that the opening game tends to start with a service break, but 30-15 at the moment. Good lob that.
There's Martita just giving Sofia instructions as to where the opponents are.
30 all.
Of course, you've got to be alert. You've got to constantly tell your doubles partner if they're back, who's back, if they are both forward or one's attacking the net, so they know what shot to play, because sometimes they're not facing the right direction. They need to be told where they should be hitting that shot.
30 all. 40-30, well played down low into that side of the court.
Really tough to dig out, because sometimes you can see there,
impossible.
it just drops dead and crawls along the glass wall.
And you can't get a good racket on anyhow from that
There's
situation.
no room to manoeuvre the racket head.
And Get down to
golden
feet there.
point.
So, opening game, and we get
Straight away, golden point.
one of the factors I think that makes Pro Padel League entertaining. It's a golden point. If it's juice 40 all, then the next point wins it. You don't have to go too clear. Just speeds things up a little and just has a bit more
Speeds things up,
drama.
and also I think it adds a bit more, you know, drama to the game as well. You don't have that safety cushion. You lose this point, you lose the game.
Net, first service.
Good call there from Martita. Why? Because that ball hit both glass walls, so Sofia was kind of like scurrying behind it. It's always easier for the player on the other side of the net to get involved on the point and take over from their partner.
Both near them speaking. That's a nice lob from Martita Ortega.
The counter lob's a bit short.
Got a hot touch on that there, Marta Caparros.
Working hard, Caparros, in this opening set. A lot of running. What a rally here.
Oi,
What a rally for the golden point.
Well done, and they've broken our rule.
Houston balls.
Yes.
They've held
I told
serve.
you, Paul, we've had this throughout day 1, day 2. And what a start to day 3, that commentator's curse. Had you not said anything, Martita would have broken. They're going to have a go at you afterwards.
Just looking at Marta Caparros there, obviously Lorena Rufo is quite a bit shorter. I'd say about 10 centimetres, 5 inches shorter.
And also, you add to that the reach. I mean,
And it just makes her a little bit harder to lob. And she's obviously, I think they've decided, the Houston Bolts, to fight power with power.
I think it's quite good, you know, that's a good thing about paddle. I mean, if you're shorter, more defensive, taller, attacking, it doesn't matter. You know, you look at some of the players like Chingotto,
Claudia
and you
Jensen.
have players like, you know, Cuello, you know, taller players, Leo Alsberger, big hitters, Cardona. Everyone can play paddle, regardless of size, height.
I'm just thinking about the women's, obviously Claudia Jensen, who's not here today, but is in...
She's on a roster, yes.
She's one of them. I'm forgetting which one now, top of my head.
Hold.
Okay, Marta Ortega serving.
No, she's not here this year. Claudia Jensen signed by the Stingrays, but she was playing for the Houston Volts last season. Brilliant.
Well played by Sofia Araujo.
15
We're
low.
highlighting this, those shots down the middle, especially if you're up against players that have not played together, is a very good alternative. Often it's the winning shot. I think there are more shots won in paddle down the middle than cross court or down the line.
And perhaps a little slight disadvantage for Marta Barrera and Marta Caparros is both right-handed as well.
30 low.
Really can help if you've got a left-handed player, because you can cover the middle better. Same with Sofia and Marta Ortega, but they're a bit more experienced.
Anyway, the stronger of the two players plays on the backhand side because they normally take over the vast majority of shots down the middle.
Well played
30-15.
by Marta Morena. Once again, making it difficult for Araujo off the side of the court.
Good down low at the feet of Marta Caparros.
40-15.
Okay, by the way, just to clear things up, it looks like Houston Volts are actually, in theory, the away team in this, and it's the away team that should be wearing the darker strip. I think you get a little fine for that. Got to have rules.
Do you take a percent? Are you taking a cut?
No. I think I'm a politician or something. Oh, just babied it around, didn't she? 40-15.
Las Vegas
Sorry, game.
match. 1 game all.
1-all. Everything going with serve so far. No, I was looking at the rules.
Supporters just making their way into
Marta
this
Barrera
Wayfair
to serve.
arena.
But I did read through the rules with a highlighter pen, and there was stuff about wearing your right uniform. And home team.
Brilliant how she stepped forward to take that shot. Really well played there by Barrera.
And in theory, the players on the bench should be wearing the same colours. Look, mate.
You go tell them, Paul. You go tell them.
Look, mate. Wimbledon's Wimbledon for a reason, isn't it?
Down low, tough volley. Araujo.
Oh, my word.
Superb play.
It's like you playing table tennis.
Great reflexes. Now I can do that.
Oh,
And just drifts
just
wide from Martita.
Very long.
Martita was on the Las Vegas Smash roster last season. Sofia Araujo joining the team in the trade window. Of course, two players who have had some experience playing together in the past. You get that a lot though, if you watch padel. I mean, apart from perhaps the top 6, 8 players ranked in the world, there is a lot of movement below them. Lovely put away.
40 long.
And if one of the top 4 or 5 break up, then
there's a ripple effect.
There's a ripple effect,
bigger
there's a domino effect all the way down. And of course, if somebody gets injured, which was the case of Barrera, I said, as for example, Salazar also, then your partner teams up with somebody else. If it works out well for that new partnership, they might stick together. And then you're looking for someone to play with. A couple of good bullet smashes.
Well, very good start so far from the Volts. 40 love.
With serve.
Serving to love.
With serve in this opening set, so it'll be Sofia Araujo.
The thing is, if you serve first and you keep holding your service game, it just, at the end of it, puts the pressure on your rivals.
If I prefer, you know, if I could choose, win the toss, always serve first. Always serve first. You break early, or break at any point, because with serve, you would get to the point when it's 5-4. And that adds added pressure to your opponents. Also, you hold your service game, break, and then hold your service game, and it's 3-love.
What we are seeing so far, though, is a match that's far from typical, isn't it? There's not many lobos. It's quite big hitting. They're all
Also quite
4 of them players who like to give the ball.
Apart from the golden point, the rallies have been short. The longest rally was the golden point. Sometimes because players
don't want to make a
instinctively
mistake.
Hold back a little because there is so much at stake. We've seen really tight games in the past, and over the 2 sets, there have been 11 golden points, and one team have won 10 of those 11 golden points, which is 10 games, which is almost, you know, the 2 sets. Well, coming out, Araujo and Martita. It will be the Portugal #1, Sofia, to serve.
Sofia Araujo to serve.
The shot was difficult to judge.
Didn't quite kick
it's
out,
tough,
did it?
though. It's really tough because
15
you've got to
love.
give that shout before it hits the back glass. And there we saw Caparros just telling Barrera it was leaving that 3-meter side wall. You've got to race out that gateway and try and get it back into play. But once you commit to leaving the court, there's no way back.
At least not in the point.
For you and me, Paul, be no way back alive. It is really tough to try and, you know, get out there at speed, not hit the gateway with the racket, with
we've
your
seen
knee.
some of our players ourselves.
We even saw a professional player just clip his hand trabanco, but he's okay. He'll be playing later on today. And so I think it was a great hand, but in the end it was his playing hand, which was always quite painful. But we spoke to him after the game, and he said he was going to put it in ice. He'll be fine for action today.
Whipping through the points here, Sofia. A bit wild. 40-15.
40-15.
Brilliant put away.
Game.
Backhand
Las Vegas
slice.
smash. 2 games all.
So effective.
2-all.
Much more effective a sliced volley than a topspin volley. Do not volley topspin. It's normally does not work in your favour. It'll just bounce up high, kick off the wall, and give your opponents an easier shot. Sliced is always the best option. The only time really when you use topspin is with those topspin smashes to try and get that big kick and get it out over the sidewall.
Marta Caparros serving again, second time. Well played, Marta
15.
Barrera.
Very low.
Once again, serve pretty dominant so far. Opting to stay deep there. Sofia Araujo, and
Then again down the middle, really good shot by Nenno when he gets the net, and that was weak. Oh, I think she was caught in two minds.
He was a little bit too aggressive actually. Just needed to be put back.
And also that backhand, the body, it was side on more down the middle and just changed her mind, opened up in the end, just sending that straight into the net. That's a really good serve there, Caparros. That was such a good serve, and it set them up for the volley. It was all about the serve.
40-15.
The return was just getting that ball back into play. Then there was the first volley, which then set up that smash. And there Caparros hitting a big winner.
Just for a moment, I thought that Sofia might get to that, but it bounces on the top of the court
Had
rather
it
than
bounced on
bouncing
the top
out.
and come on to our side, so off court, maybe.
Obviously, you can. Just to remind you, play the ball from outside of the court.
Looking for that fence. Caparros. It's a really high, deep lob from Barrera. You can see there Martita and Sofia trying to get to that net position, but losing it.
Yep.
To Caparros and Barrera, and also losing the game.
Well played it down the lob, just nicely sat up there for Barrera to smash down the feet. And they lead 3 games to 2. Everything going with sets so far in these opening minutes of our opening match in the Saturday session in the Pro Padel League here in the Wayfair Arena in Miami.
Oh, starting to fill up the venue. It was an early start here in Florida. 11 o'clock local time. When it's the weekend, it's going to be action-packed here at the Wayfair Arena. Amazing venue. And we've been seeing throughout the progress of the PPL that each and every event last year have been getting bigger and better. Huge improvements, and what a way to start the 2025 season, Paul, here at the Wayfair Arena. And then, of course, not too far from home, in Spain, San Sebastian. I'm looking forward to that visit to Guipúzcoa. It's at a stunning tennis club, beautiful, right on the coast. And then back this side of the pond, of the Atlantic, Mexico, our first ever event also in Mexico, so going global, the PPR, with Spain and Mexico.
Guadalajara, 1,500 meters over sea level. That's going to be interesting.
Should hopefully make for a fast court, which of course benefits some players, but not others. The big hitters will no doubt love that high altitude.
Martita Ortega serving. 3-2 down, but I say everything so far going with serve.
Brilliant.
Decisive.
15 love.
Yesterday we saw a match where in the opening 6 service games there were 5 breaks. Complete opposite. Today, 5 so far, and all 5 service games have been held. Dos. The 2 players have come forward.
There is a real battle, isn't there, for dominance at the net here? Because
Yeah, I
you
mean,
can see that Marta Barrera and Marta
It's back and
Caparros
forth as well.
are
It's back and forth because as soon as you are sent deep, your goal has to be to try and regain that net position. Unless, of course, you can use a passing shot. But it's all about having a hold of the net for as many points as possible. Also, if you make a mistake right by the net, there's a good chance it will drop on the other side of the court and in when it comes to a mishit volley. Whereas a mishit ground shot will probably end up in the net.
way more chance of hitting
Wow,
the net, as you say.
great
Exactly.
winner.
40 love.
40 love, good bajada from
Sofia.
Sofia. Very, very clever fake smash. They both tried to challenge it
Game.
running quickly, but that
Smash.
just left the space down the
3
middle.
games all.
And Sofia said, oh, thank you very much.
There you go. Power isn't always
Looks really
the
easy,
way
that,
to win
but
the point. It's not, though, because
you can miss-hit it and just put it into the net, or hit
Yeah.
it too much and set them up for an
or,
easy
yeah,
return.
if that bounces too deep,
Time.
then it becomes an easy shot for your opponents to retrieve and then probably take control of the point. So it's always good to bounce, if possible, 2 to 3 meters from the net and always just behind where your opponents are standing. Not going to get there. Well, she did. Wow. But that was
Unlucky.
brilliant, though, from Sofia Araujo.
15 love.
Now, when that kind of smash is on the side, say, of Martita, like we saw just now, it has to be the player on the other side of the court who races forward because they have a running start.
Red.
Whereas Martita is stationary, waiting to see where that shot goes. The only way Martita can run is straight forward. So there, Sofia got it back into play, but difficult to stay on the point.
Surely that's something you'll see plenty of times, I think, in the course of the day.
Just looking to stay in this point. Sofia and Martita on the back foot. Going to defend. And in the end, Caparros and Barrera.
30 love.
30 love up.
Very close match. I think we thought it was going to be reasonably
We
close.
said it'd be close, but I think we both picked
both gone for Marta
Sofia
and Sofia.
Araujo
Yeah.
and Martita. And then late in the men's doubles, Gonzalo Alfonso and Chisco Hill will be up next. They take on Alberto Trabanco and Pepe Aliaga in the second matchup on this court.
Decisive again from
Follow.
Marta Caparros, not just hitting it hard, but hitting into the stanchion. Have a look again. Once again, controlling the net.
Just apologising, Sofia, but it did clip the net.
Yeah, just
40-15.
bounced up.
Changed the trajectory. a little. Of course, you're so close to the net, you have very little time to react.
Good deep serve as well. A little careless error there.
40-30.
Mixing their shots up, Caparros and Barrera. Insisting with those lobs down the middle.
Wow, great stuff at the net. Both teams equally aggressive here. Aye.
That was probably the easiest shot
Golden point.
of the rally.
And
second golden point.
From basically nowhere, from looking as if they had this
They were
game
comfortable, looking really
completely
good.
controlled, all of a sudden it's a break point against.
Well, facing a second possible break, Barrera and Caparros, the first game of the set, had a golden point, but they held on. Let's see what happens here. 3-3.
Shall we go forward? Caparros thought about going forward. In the end, she did.
To get back into position.
Aye.
Wow, there was a huge gap there, and Caparros
Game.
She
knew,
saw it.
yeah, she made a mistake. She
They-
knew that should have been
4
left
games to
for
3.
Barrera. Why? Because it was on her forehand side. Caparros had to overstretch, and having overstretched, sent that volley out wide, whereas Barrera was approaching the ball, had a great vision of the opposite side of the court, and would probably have kept that ball in play.
Well, it came from virtually nowhere, that break point, but all of a sudden we have Sofia Araujo and Martita Ortega.
Oh, looking
Break
to
the good
consolidate.
and looking to
Yeah.
serve for 5-3.
Because of course you break, but it isn't a break unless of course you hold your service game. And so often, it's like if you play soccer. When you score a goal, you're normally more vulnerable to an equaliser straight after taking the lead. Same goes here. When you break, a lot of times you get broken back immediately.
Well, that's it so far, it has to be
I made a
said.
soccer reference because of course the Club World Cup is being played
Of
here
course we have.
in the US.
Because Sofia Araujo and Martita Ortega have been pretty dominant on their serve so far, but it does happen, but
But so were, I suppose maybe the first service game
First service as
was
well.
a golden point, but here they looked comfortable. They, they had a 2-point cushion. But we have seen quite a few games where doubles teams are 40 love up and end up losing or going to a juice. Things can change in a blink of an eye.
so let's see what happens in this game, because we're getting the feeling, aren't we, that this is a match that could be just one break either way. 6-3, 6-4, 7-5.
And there's so much at stake because the team that wins this would have a good chance, or at least a chance, of qualifying for Sunday. Now, of course, if the Houston Volts win, they'll have to wait to see how results go elsewhere. If Las Vegas Smash win, Paul,
The
they
Houston
will be in the
Volts,
final.
if the Volts lose, they have no chance.
No,
the
they'll be
women,
out,
the
they'll be
women
out.
at least have no chance of being with us tomorrow. At least in a playing sense of the word. Obviously, there might
Oh,
be
they'll be there supporting
spectators.
their teammates if the men qualify. Oh, great reflexes here, Caparros. 'Cause of
15
course,
love.
you've got men's and women's teams. Now, the results are separate in Miami, also in San Sebastián, in Guadalajara. The event that will be taking place at the Hamptons at the end of August is a very different event. We'll be talking about that later. And then you've got the Cities Cup. So to qualify for the Cities Cup, it'll be the men's and women's results throughout the regular season totaled up. And the top 8 franchises, there are 10, will qualify.
Sofia calls for that. It's a strong bajada, and that
Sells out.
had too much on it for Marta Barrera. 30 love.
We've just been told it's raining.
I was
Little fan here.
I was expecting rain, but the roof is holding, which is excellent.
No, this is a great venue. honestly.
Really, really
It's,
good.
A wonderful setup.
40
love. I mean, visually, I mean, every single seat in the house has a great view of the court, of the action. Also, so close to the players. What a drop shot. What a dormilona from Martita.
Well, as we said, they've really been strong on their serve, haven't they? So now they have a real chance to pressure Marta Caparros, try and close out the set. 2 bites at it, though, haven't they?
There are very few events that I've ever been at where you're so close to the players. Bullet smash. Caparros.
15 love.
Nicely played there, forehand from Sofia. Just another little slightly weak
15
shot
love.
there,
The word
maybe
isn't
from Marta
lazy,
Barrera.
because these players aren't lazy, of course. But sometimes,
I think it's rather than late, I'd say you just lose concentration
yeah,
for a moment.
maybe, and also sometimes you have a quick look to see where your opponents are, and for a split second you just lose track of the ball, and that's all it takes to miss hit. I think they're going to take 2 because they weren't too sure if that clipped the side fence or not. So, let first serve. We were saying yesterday how difficult it is for the umpires, and the good thing about paddle, there's the sportsmanship here.
It's been
You don't
tremendous.
see that in many sports, competitive sports. In fact, in any sports, I'd say rugby maybe is another sport where there's lots of sportsmanship, no gamesmanship, because here the players often call the ball in or out.
Yeah, the winning point last night.
Yeah, the winning point.
The umpire called it out,
With
and the team that
Maxi,
lost,
yeah.
they were lost. Said, no, it was in.
And it was actually, they said, no, it's game over. And the umpire said, okay, game over.
Great. Go home then.
Because you heard this clatter, but it was actually the racket hitting the fence, not the ball.
15-30. That is a fault. Really trying to serve it really close to the side of the court all the time, isn't she, Marta Caparros? And again, good serve, and really deep
But
as
look
well.
how quickly Sofia gets the net. And suddenly, from receiving, they're on the offense. Okay, it's a lob, but they look to regain that net again.
Wow,
No need.
you what?
What a passing shot.
15-40.
Brilliant shot. So, set points from being 3-all and looking as if it could go all the way to a tiebreaker.
Well, 3-3, golden point. To now,
Brilliant bajada.
getting the chance here to take that first set in half an hour.
3 set points. Good block. Good volley at the net. And here, Barrera and Caparros
switch
have
of
got the
play
net. Have got the net, but great play from Marta. That might be a bit short.
That wasn't the angle that Martita was looking for with that smash. Hit the side wall first before hitting the back wall, which brought the ball back into the centre.
30-40.
She would have preferred it hitting the back wall first and then the side wall.
Just
And then
died.
crawling along the fence.
Just died on Sofia Araujo as well off that back class.
When paddle first started, the back walls were made out of cement.
You didn't want to collide with those.
No, you didn't. Here, you can bounce off that. A lot of players use it for momentum. When they're racing in one direction, they just bounce back off the glass wall
Our court, by
to
the way,
return in the opposite direction.
provided by Adidas.
Fake smash. This time, too much on it from Araujo. Takes that volley. Let's try and get back into the net. She is superb, one of the best net players on the women's circuit.
It's a bit short.
And that's a really good hit, really well played.
And 2 set
Juice,
points
golden point.
saved. It's Juice, golden point. It's still a break point.
And set point. And now Araujo and Martita Ortega get to choose who's going to receive this serve. Either can opt to be the receiver, and it's going to be Martita.
Second serve. I've only seen 1 double fault so far in this tournament.
And no aces, if I'm not mistaken. There you go. That was the shot that Martita was looking for earlier. That one that hits the glass and crawls along the glass and doesn't come towards the player. So they miss out on 3 break points, 3 set points. And now, at least they're still serving.
Yeah.
They've not been broken. Serving for the first set.
Really well played from the Volts there. You know, saying, I don't think I've seen it. The only way you'd really see an ace at this level if somebody just completely loses sight of the ball.
You know, there are a few sometimes, you know, if they, off the glass or, but like you said, it's very rare. Now, it's not so rare when you're starting off in paddle because it takes a while to know where to stand when that ball is traveling towards the glass wall, because instinctively you move towards the wall when really you should move away from the wall. And once you pick up that art, it is an art, it is a skill that takes some time to mastermind, especially if you're coming from different racket sports, if you're coming from tennis.
I think if you look at that last point, it shows just how hard it can be.
It's very difficult
for top players to
but
judge the bounce off
Not too sure, because there's a fine line, between hitting the back wall, side wall, back wall, and then the direction that ball will travel in.
A little bit frustrated, I think, the smash not to have taken the set already. I think when you're 15-40, you've really got to close out and break that break.
Time.
But that's a real credit to Marta Barrera and Marta Caparros. Okay, it's Martita Ortega to serve.
Martita Ortega to serve with new balls.
New balls as well. 9 games into the first set is when you get the first ball change. Then after every 11. Great ground shot that from Caparros.
Clever. Oh, great pick up there.
Brilliant recovery
Just
from
scoops it up.
Sofia Araujo.
So both players can kind of get back into position. They're on opposite sides.
Oh. It's again the spin.
Now look, they switch back into their normal playing positions. And well played. They somehow hung on in that point.
There's a couple of brilliant recoveries.
This one here.
No, it's not that one. It's the one where it just bounces over the net. This one. Just tremendously well to save that Marta Ortega, who's now preparing to serve. It's 15 love up.
Just out.
Yeah, went a bit long.
And then Barrera just saying yes, it was out. Sofia just inquired.
I looked it from here, but I think my judgment is quite to be relied on. 30 love. Well played, Sofia.
Yeah, we saw
very quickly with the volley.
Barrera saw the volley was coming away and just turned to avoid being hit, but only so the ball would hit the wall and then, was allowed to drop perhaps too low
30-15.
by Sofia. You can see there how superstitious the players are.
Change your ball.
Yeah, I'm not playing with that ball again. At least not for now.
Oh, well played, Sofia.
Ooh, Barrera's stumbled. Yeah, but
No,
she's okay.
all right.
Quickly
Gets
checking
up.
on her.
Good
40-15.
she gets up with a smile on her face. That's a good sign. She was trying to twist,
Twist
shoot,
and turn just to,
run at
Yeah.
the same time.
because you're kind of following the track of the ball. You've got to get your body in position, avoid objects. There are no objects here on this side of the court.
Which is another reason why you should never have any loose balls outside of a court,
No,
by the way.
or anywhere on the court. So if you can't have the balls in your pockets, just tuck it in by the net, by the post. You can see there's one ball on the court at the moment, in by the post.
By the way, 3 more set points. Can they close it out this time?
Yes,
They can. Thank you very much.
there's the answer ball.
Didn't have to wait for that answer. 6-4.
They won 6 games.
38 minutes, that opening set of the opening match here at the Wayfair Arena. Houston Volts drawing first at blood.
So just the one break of serve in the set. And I think that might
They
be
had,
the tonic
had
for
more
the second.
opportunities, didn't they? They had those 3 set points in an earlier service game. They also lost a golden point. So they have been dominating their service games, and
So-
they've had great points on 3 of their opponent's service games in that opening set.
So the question is, will they be able to reproduce the first set performance? Marta Barrera and Marta Caparros in the second. What you sometimes see is slightly lower ranked players do really well in the first set, and sometimes in the second set get blown away a little bit more. Will that happen, or will they keep on competing right to the end? Remember, every game can be vital when it comes to calculating end of tournament standings.
I've got my pen and paper out, and I'm trying to keep track of all the games and sets and matches won over the days, but it's going to change a lot. There's going to be, as I say, bailar. Things will be moving up and down, and as we approach the afternoon session, we might have another team confirmed, because of course Martita and
Time.
a very good Araujo today. Been impressed with how she's played.
Yeah, if the
Could
Smash,
be in the final.
if the Smash win today, that's 2
Yeah.
wins for the women.
But we might not know the finalists, all 4, until the very last game finishes here, and it could be as late as midnight, so do stay tuned. If you have things to do, there might be a break between the first session and the second session. That's when you need to do things. You've got to join us again for that second session.
Marta Caparros to get us back underway at the start of the second set.
Just long.
Yeah,
We have a great view of that line, don't we? We're sat parallel to the service line in front of Martita and Sofia. Gets the call. 2 forward. Cuts across Martita. Whoa, the double hit in that back fence.
that can either bounce out and be very returnable, or it can do what that did and just drop dead.
If the smash is flat, there's more chance that ball will drop. If it's hit with topspin, it normally just
Pops up.
loops up, but not far, just loops up high, which gives your opponents a good chance of returning the smash.
Okay, love 15. Good serve again, looking for that tight on the side of the court.
Great winner.
15 all.
Tough shot to execute down the line. Had Sofia racing towards the net.
Good lob. Once again, Marta Ortega and Sofia looking to get into the net, but
Oh, wonderful. What a deft touch
I was going to say, but then opponents have got into the net. It didn't really matter.
Now, this is look, watch here. She'd been slightly further forward, Caparros, slightly further to the middle, would have been able to return that passing shot. The problem is, sometimes, it's not that you only go halfway, but you expect to lob or globo. So you're kind of staying maybe 2 steps further back, just so it's easier to hit that globo.
It's a little bit no man's land then.
Oh, spotted
Oy,
by Marta.
put too much on it. She'd worked the chance as well.
Momentum. She was, she was moving forward and wasn't able just to quick stop, skip check, and then get into position for the volley. Yep.
40-30.
Damn, I think is what's here. Just a quick look up to the heavens, Martita. Why? Because it was a massive point at 30-all.
40-30, looking to serve out the game. Marta Caparros.
Bit of a spooned lob, and there's a good fake smash.
She got to it but couldn't control it. Well played, keeping calm. Bit of grace under pressure there from Marta Barrera. Okay, let's have a look at some of the numbers from that first set, which was obviously won 6-4 by Sofia Araujo and Martita Ortega. They won 58% of the points, actually. They were more dominant on the serve, obviously, because they weren't broken, 87%. And maybe the big question mark is they only took 1 out of 5, or 20% of their break points.
And 1 of 3 golden points. Dominating long rallies. Normally, the more experienced players win the longer rallies.
You just look at that and the logic tells you that they should go on to win overall.
And also, looking at that, I mean, it could easily have been 6-2, that opening set because of the golden points.
But they're winning, they're dominating the long rallies, and there tends to be more long rallies. The big thing maybe would be just to step up on those golden points.
So if you're reading this and you're the coach of Barrera and Caparros, you kind of want your players to try and maybe not go gung-ho, but look to get to that net as much as possible, because the longer the rally, the more chance this happens.
Martita Ortega serving and smashes that one out, 15-love. Very difficult to deal with that.
30-love.
Right next to the side of the court. Great volley from Sofia at the net. Martita once again finds that angle.
Oh, just unfortunate. Or fortunate, depending on who you're supporting. We're objective, by the way, if you want.
Just hitting the top of the court. Once again. Anticipated it, but...
That's a really clever lob. That was really clever. Got Martita scurrying back diagonally, which is quite difficult.
.15 and now
that's
one
it.
game.
Another comfortable service game.
Smash.
Another comfortable service game. They've not really struggled.
See, that's the thing, isn't it? It's that dynamic. If your rivals are winning their service games easily,
you're having
and
to work
you're
really
having to
hard.
get to 30 or
Really
a
hard to
golden
win
point, then this the law of averages tells you that you're sooner or later.
You'll be broken, yes. And one thing we saw at the beginning of the first set, up until that 3-3, was Caparros, and also Barrera, but more Caparros, making use of that height and that big smash and winning points outright. From 3-3 onwards, they've not been at the net enough.
But they've
for
not been
Marta
able
to play her game.
Not been able to either. I think
No credit, of course. Yeah, credit goes to Sofia Araujo and Martita Ortega because they've been very clever with their gameplay. Their shots down at the feet, chiquitas, really good globos, moving their opponents well, and they've been dominating the net. And Martita, she was really good last season, really good. But Las Vegas Smash, who enjoyed a good regular season, qualify for the Cities Cup, had a few injuries going into that final event, and they couldn't really shine, and they failed to qualify for the semi-final. But they've brought in some really good signings, and things have clicked. And of course, I think it was really clever signing Sofia Araujo because they knew she could play with Martita.
Exactly. Good serve again.
Martita, for those who aren't too sure, her career, I mean, we were saying former world #1, youngest ever world #1, and definitely the franchise player for Las Vegas.
Left on a wee bit short there, Marta, with a little backhand smash.
So I'm seeing her praises, and she's going to hit it straight into the net.
She's just not got the wrists of Paquito Navarro.
No, she hit the net.
That was clever, though.
Yeah, she hit the net. Barrera,
yeah,
the racket hit the net.
But it was still clever for Marta, the shot afterwards, just in case. Anyhow, 3 more break points. So they've struggled in the last 3 of the last 4 service games. And it's what we were saying, the law of averages just builds up against you, doesn't it?
Just like in tennis, if you do hit the net, even if it's the follow-through, or you physically hit the net, you do lose a point. You are allowed to jump over onto the opponent's side of the court, which we have seen in the past. As long as you don't touch the net. I would not try that.
You get a bit of height on it.
I would not jump over the net. Way too high.
Your point. What a thumping bajada from Sofia Araujo, and a nice little lob over the top.
That just drops dead. That was so difficult to get back into play in the fake smash.
And
Brilliant,
again,
brilliant.
Well played. Big
Superb.
break. Big break of serve. 2-1 they lead. Break to the good as we go into our next little rest period.
All about the globo tucked into that corner, dropped dead. And what you have to do is, okay, you're deep on your side of the court. You sent over a really good lob. You'll see your opponents racing back and struggling. You attack the net. Watch here. Let's see if we see the entire point. Now look, come forward. Come forward, come forward, come forward. And look at that.
Big space as well.
Huge gap. You could fit a car between those 2 players.
You could probably fit a lorry, to be honest. But there was
you could fit a car here from Miami in that gap.
Oh, yeah,
and
Miami
the cars
car.
here
That's
are
a big car, yeah.
A lot bigger than the cars you get on the European continent.
Yeah, she had a lot of space there, didn't she, just to dink it down.
Well, the break in this second set coming earlier than the break in the opening set. Which they took 6-4.
More time to recover as well, but at the
More
moment...
time to recover.
Momentum is certainly going with Martita Ortega and Sofia Araujo at the moment.
Seen a couple of those really good disguised smashes because, of course, if you are a big hitter, your opponents are expecting a big smash, which is why it's important to mix things. Always mix up. Do not be predictable. Because if I'm going to lob you, I'm going to counter lob, I'm going to lob you, I'm going to counter lob, eventually your opponents will take 3-4 steps back. And they'll be in a position where they can smash that ball. If you decide to play a chiquita, down low at the feet, play it down the line, even try a passing shot down the middle, and also a globo, one of the lobs, it's always more effective. Unless, of course, you're hitting passing shots and you're hitting every single one, then you will insist on hitting. And we saw that yesterday. Leo and Cardona just kept smashing the ball because they're winning all of them.
Okay, Sofia, a chance to consolidate that break and move 3-1 ahead in the second set. Remember, they are the Las Vegas Smash are a break to the good. That was a wee bit long, however, love 15. Changing the angle. Oof. Brilliant lob there from Caparros. And fantastic return from Martita Ortega.
Ooh, that was
I must confess,
misjudged.
I thought when she hit it, Caparros there, I thought it was going long, and it just seem to sort of drop dead. Quite a long way short at the back, actually.
If in doubt, you're in that kind of position, it's always best to take on the volley than having to track back and maybe hitting a lob.
Love 30.
Well, all of a sudden, love 30.
Well, you're at your most vulnerable if you've just broken.
It's a cliche for a reason. Because it's true.
It is.
20 seconds maximum allowed between points during a game.
If you exceed 20 seconds, you get a warning. If you exceed the 20 seconds again, you get a warning and lose a point.
Oi, loose. He was
wild.
raced in there. Marta Caparros and Martita Ortega. Slams that almost at waist
Look
height.
at this. They've not had any break points in this match so far. Like buses, Paul. You wait for a bus, then 4 come along.
Not here, they don't.
50-40.
Still have 3. Still have 3 break points.
Controlling. Look at the control the net, the two Martas. Wow.
Excellent. Again,
Really well played.
30-40.
back-to-back winning shots. Araujo, big smash. And a delicate sliced backhand.
Massive game, isn't it now? I think
Bit of side spin
if
on
they
that.
can get back into this and save it,
They've got the
Marta,
momentum.
then
And this
they'll-
would be a, psychologically a huge blow. You're leading 40 love, you end up losing the game. Still need 2 more points, so Araujo and Ortega.
Good lob. Flat, but just enough height on it.
Damn, you said damn twice
Game.
in that
Houston
game,
balls.
because one shot went
games
long
all.
and that volley
Was
also
there
going
for- it
long.
was
It was
there
there
to
for
win,
the
wasn't
taking.
it?
It was definitely there for the taking. Back at
So-
2-2.
So they've broken straight back. Well played.
Now they've got to be careful they're not broken. Marta Caparros.
Yeah, that's the thing,
To
isn't it?
serve.
Sometimes you break back and you think, well, we've done it. We've done the hard work.
You're broken again.
But they've showed good personality, haven't they? I mean, they when they got love 30 there, you could see them saying, look, we're going to go for this. Oh, well played. Just dies on the back there.
15 love.
Oh, well played, Marta. Ortega got there. That was her
Brilliant.
persistence,
Excellent.
wasn't it? There,
Yeah,
running
definitely.
that won that point.
15-0.
Just sits it off the net. It's again a good lob. You could see what she was trying to do there, just dip it over the net, but
30-15.
taking a little time over the serve. Caparros, no warning.
And it was worth the time.
Clipping the outside of the line.
40-15.
Really good delivery.
So it might just give them the chance to put a bit of pressure on the next serve for Araujo and Ortega if she can take this point. Which they have
Brilliant.
done.
Well, momentum
Okay,
definitely with
Houston ball.
Barrera
They
and
lead
Caparros.
3 games to 2.
Well played.
I mean, looking at average game times, I mean, the PPL is so dynamic. Games are shorter, of course, because there's no long third set. There is a super tie break. But it's been fun to watch. I think the longest game was probably the women's doubles, Guinart, Iglesias, Castillo,
Possibly, yeah.
which went to the super tie break. But here, I mean, it's being contested. Not the longest of rallies, but it's tight.
It's very close, isn't it?
And Sofia Araujo and Martita Ortega need to be careful. They're not broken for a second time in this second set because they are 3-2 down.
When they got that break, I thought that's it. I thought they were going to hold serve, might go on to sort of 6-2 or something, but, well, credit to Marta Barrera and Marta Caparros so far.
They played well. They started the first set really well. I think at 3-3, that golden point, I think, you know, sometimes you've got to quickly forget about losing a golden point, and they were still looking back at what could have been, and suddenly they were, you know, the set was over, 6-4. And this second set, they've been more focused. They've ironed out, there are less mistakes, and we're seeing them more at the net, and that's where Marta Caparros, of these two players you see on your screen, Marta, if she's at the net, she's a real threat.
Yeah, no, and they both pairs have looked to get in quickly to the net as well.
Because of course, Martita and Sofia know how dangerous Marta Caparros is at the net, and they've done a good job in the first set of keeping her behind the service line, but it's been tougher in this second set. Martita to serve up 6-4 first set, trailing 3-2 in the second.
Dare I say it, really decisive game. This needs to hold. I'm going, no you.
That was a good shot there from Barrera. Just heading up the lob. Oh, that was a great shot return. But just setting up a lob because suddenly the players were kind of out of position. It kind of gives you time to get back into position. But of course, when you send up that kind of lob, you're exposed.
Exactly. I think in the end they recovered because you could hear Marta Caparros going, boy, I'm going for it. And then I think her partner was just in the way.
Also, you can kind of say, mine. And then your partner kind of takes a step towards the ball, or you see their racket move into your kind of like, you know.
See the trademark coming towards your nose and you think, well, maybe not.
In the opposite direction, or you're not quite prepared, and that, you know, split second, suddenly you don't hit the shot you should be hitting. Well, it's always better.
Once again, 40 love. So looks as if they've got a bit of control back. Thinking about that, have you ever hit anyone with your racket while playing paddle?
Yes, I have.
Accidentally,
I mean,
rather than in a moment of anger.
I've hit myself. Really painful in the shin. Yeah, you're laughing.
Yeah,
seriously. Talk about. He's laughing. Okay, Paul's laughing about me hitting myself in the shin with a racket. What happened to you?
You laughed when I walked into the table.
Here, he walked into the table, and yeah, it was agony. It was agony for him. It was laughter for everybody else in the room. But yeah, I mean, you've got to be careful with the racket because, and also you sometimes see here, like players ducking. You think, wow, that was close, and that's your teammate, you know, delivering a biberos, you know, or a big smash, and you see a player quickly ducking. You know, it's not as bad as squash, where if you get hit by the ball, that is really painful. Also painful in paddle. But yeah, communication is so important.
Okay, Marta Barrera serving 3-all in the second set. Just reaching backwards there. Love 15.
Love 15.
This is where there was the service break in the first set, isn't it?
At 3-3.
In the 7th game.
It was a golden point, which was won by Sofia Araujo and Martita. Nice half volley, Sofia. What a great return. And Caparros. Whoa,
brilliant.
What a backhand. Contra pared.
But just left it exposed, didn't it?
Because that was a great shot, but it was a shot that kind of sits up invitingly for your opponents.
Quite a lot of height on that one.
But improvised really well, Marta Barrera.
Love 30.
Is Lightning going to strike twice, Paul, in this second set at 3-3 break? Tremendous one-handed backhand. Steep low return there, Martita. Ooh, that was like...
I wouldn't have liked to have been the umpire on that one.
As close could be.
Nobody complaining about it, though, so... Just in and again.
Making full use of the 20 meters. Marta goes for the big one and doesn't connect. And
I think that was a moment just to have kept the ball alive.
Call her, yeah, just go. I mean, it was quite deep. Just use the smash to get a better control of the net, and maybe the next smash is slightly close to the net, and it's slightly easier to hit the winner.
Okay, 4 more break points. 3 break points, 15-40, well played. That was much more controlled.
15-40.
Took the gamble, which isn't a bad thing. Martita heads towards the center, thinking the shot's going down the middle. Well spotted by Marta Caparros. Having problems with her laces there. Barrera, I think it's the 3rd time she's had to tie up the laces.
Good lob.
That's an excellent lob over Caparros. First shot in the ready for Sofia.
Bit short, is it?
30-40.
That should have been Martita's.
Sofia calls for it, doesn't she? And it looks pretty clearly Marta's ball there.
The side spin, as soon as it came off the back wall, drifted away from Martita.
Time.
So
2 more break points to defend. 2 options to get another
back-to-back points. Let's see if they can meet a hat trick and force a golden point. Oh, that's unlucky, so unlucky. And that's unlucky too. Well, it's a tell 2 fences, because Caparros' smash a bit lower would have hit the back glass, come back to her side of the court. A bit higher would have cleared the 4-meter back wall, and here clipped the fence, and they've been broken.
When that hits those stanchions, there's nothing you can do about it, really, is there?
Well, seeing some of the highlights, we're also looking at the crowd, and there's a lot more kids. Younger audience this weekend, of course, great plan.
Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah, with the family. Come and catch some world-class paddle here at the Wayfair Arena. Eating ice creams. Oh, one of those. They look good. I mean, the hospitality here is top-notch.
Time.
Okay, it's 4-3 to Sofia Araujo and Martita Ortega. Sofia serving to go 5-3 up in the second set. And remember, they won the first set 6-4.
After breaking it, 3-3.
Remember, they were a break-up earlier in the set and were broken straight back.
Ouch.
Low 15.
That went really high, the return. Maybe a few nerves to close it out as quickly as possible.
Took a gamble. Didn't have a great shot there, Araujo. Which means that Martita had to cut across. Now
Again, they're on the wrong side.
Yes. Now they look to switch back again as soon as possible. Oh, great winner. Because the issue there is sometimes you're so eager to get back across that you're kind of hovering on the, you know, the mid area, and that's exactly what Sofia did.
Exactly.
You
So
need to be covering slightly more of your side, but if you're not used to playing on that side, it doesn't come naturally.
So Barrera and Caparros giving themselves another great chance of getting breaking straight back.
One break in the first set. We've had several in this second set. Very defensive. Contra pared. Good block volley. Caparros. Oh. Punches the air, Marta Caparros there.
I'm not surprised. Love 14. History is repeating.
Oh, it was love 40 in the previous service game. Barrera and Caparros managed to win 2 points before losing their serve. Well,
Game, Houston balls.
they've broken back, Paul.
4 games all.
4 games all. Unable to close out that game or even get near it. There's Sofia Araujo and Marta Ortega. 1 hour and 9 minutes. This is...
It's on course to be the second longest match. Of course, at least 2 more games. Could be a few more if there's a tie break in the second set and Barrera and Caparros win it. Then we're going to have also a super tie break,
15 love.
which should only be the second. The first took place on the opening day of competition. Toronto Polo Bears losing that super tie break. The only team officially knocked out of the PPL here in Miami. The women's, not the men's. Now, Paul, who's your money on?
I'm not sure.
I mean, we both picked
I think you've
Martita and Sofia.
You've got to stick with your pick, haven't you?
Yes. Danny won't forgive us. He won't allow us to change. But it's looking very good
30
for
love.
Barrera and Caparros.
30 love. Ooh, just got a bit lucky. Got very lucky there, did Sofia.
30-15.
30-15 just keeps them in this game. Clips the net and then hits this side. I think otherwise Marta Barrera would have had that back. Yeah, a bit long on the serve. Good lob from Martita Ortega there.
Wasn't too sure what was going on.
I was thinking the same thing.
But the best option is to take it. If in
As
doubt,
you
you've
said.
got to take that volley.
Ah, well done there, Martita Ortega as well. Just nips in. Well recovered. And again. A bit too much on that one down the middle, but just long, really
Travels too far.
fine margins there. There was a couple of games ago where it was in by about a centimetre and they're just out by a centimetre. So suddenly 30 all. Good serve again. She's constantly looked for that angle, hasn't she, from the serve?
Massive war cry there from both Caparros and Barrera. Just seemed to lose her footing at the moment of contact. Araujo.
Digs that one out well.
Lovely return there. It's difficult for Barrera.
Anything where it hits the glass twice,
Yeah,
is
twice.
in real
It's
difficulty.
so difficult to return.
Aye, just misjudged that, so we have a golden point.
Golden point.
Not too sure there. Why?
Martita
Caparros
Ortega to receive.
didn't take it straight
Yeah.
away. I think she was expecting it to
Yeah.
bounce a lot higher.
She let it go through her legs. And then, you can see here, wasn't well positioned for the shot.
Does it just clip her heel as it goes through?
Might have done. Martita Ortega opting to receive.
Good serve, good deep serve.
Oh no! That was a really tough shot to
Houston
hit.
Balls, they
Little
lead
drop shot.
5-4.
And to be honest, both Barrera and Caparros had seen how Sofia was preparing for a drop shot. Had it cleared the net, both players would have been in a great position to probably win that point outright. So now we have 5-4. Bit of a turnaround in this second set because it was Araujo and Ortega who actually broke first in the second set. They've been broken 3 times since. They've also broken back another time, but it's not enough. And now, well, the pressure's on otherwise.
Well, if they'd have won that golden point again, they'd have been coming up and serving for the set, but...
Well, not a bad way to start the morning session, Paul.
Now they're serving to stay in and to avoid a super tiebreak. To be fair, they've had chances, haven't they, to close it out, but credit to Martita Caparros and Martita
I think,
Barrera
honestly,
for battling away every
They
point.
played really well. I mean, they're playing together for the first time here in Miami on the same roster, but they did not play together in their earlier fixture here at the Wayfair Arena. The same goes, though, for Martita and Sofia, but of course, they are 2 more experienced players that have won the highest honours on that World Padel Tour circuit.
I'm sure their coach now is saying, look, you've got nothing to lose here. Really try and attack the serve here. Try and do everything to get into the net and see if you can make it 1 set all.
Mucho. They're both forward. Winds up.
And once again, it doesn't
Yeah,
go
it's
up.
one of those ones again that the call,
15 love.
it was quite a flat smash and misjudged it again. Not Barrera, the player who races off the court. She races off the court because Marta Caparros tells her to race off the court.
30 love.
Taking her time over the serve, Martita.
Right. First service.
Well played.
Great backhand slice.
40 love.
I mean, that's like a knife. And you see how effective a slice is when it hits that back wall. Another. They both stay back. The call from Martita, who should win this outright, but doesn't. And, well, she tried to clear the side wall there, Caparros, but fortunately, both Martita and Sofia had covered the same area near the net, expecting a big hit.
Yeah.
That's where you need to be. If she smashes, you've got to be near the front.
Game. Las Vegas smash. 5 games all.
Well, it's been given against her. I'm not quite sure why. Did she touch the
New
net?
balls.
5-5.
New balls. So if they hold serve here, the
Barrera.
worst that can happen to them is a tie break.
They need to hang on to the service game. Bit of pressure, if they do, on Sofia Araujo and Marta Ortega. If they don't, and they're broken, then it will be the higher seeded players who'll be serving for
Marta
the win
Barrera to
and a
serve
place
with new balls.
in Sunday's podium event.
I'm just thinking as well, Eric. Just thinking, looking ahead. Obviously, we don't know how this is going to end, but if Las Vegas drop a set, that might be the difference between playing for first and second and third and fourth. But if they lose, obviously they could lose. But I mean, but if they win, winning in 3 sets might just mean they don't make the final.
They need to sit back and watch the rest of the games unfold during this day 3 of competition.
Love 30.
To see how teams like the Atlantics do, how Miami do. There are quite a few teams that could win all their games, but of course, New York are playing Miami, which could benefit the winners from this game.
Which might mean we actually have a slightly different first and second podium match. 2 teams we wouldn't be expecting. We'll see how it develops over the next, what,
A few hours.
8, 9, 10 hours?
15-30.
15:30. Well played. Under a bit of pressure there.
80-minute opening game here at the Wayfair Arena. Sends it into the net.
15-40.
She's not happy with herself. I
Almost
see
sent the ball
why.
flying into the glass. It would have been a warning. Maybe even a lost point. You don't want to be gifting points.
So if you gift a point
For
now,
losing your
then,
call. No.
then you lose the game.
At this stage.
Once
of the
again, it's that
match.
little thing which was just going backwards, stretching.
See how early that racket is behind the head. Operation is so important. There it goes. Behind the head nice and early. Point with the other hand towards the ball.
Oh, just clips the net.
That was such a good shot, and just clipping the net took it further out wide. Otherwise, it would have been another passing shot from Marta Caparros.
So when we come back, it'll be Sofia Araujo again to serve for the match. Will they be able to hold their serve this time?
Highlights from that previous game here was the shot that was going to be a winner, but just clipped the tape. Fine line between success and defeat. And now Caparros and Barrera need to step out onto this Wayfair Arena court and break. Now they lose this match and they will not qualify for Sunday's podium event. 10 franchises, we've seen them all in action here in Miami, but only 4 will make it through to the final day of competition.
Okay, Sofia. Araujo serving for the match. Just remember, she's had options to serve to consolidate.
I thought that was long. I thought that was long.
15 long.
And so did Caparros, but
Yeah,
Barrera...
they're not complaining, are they? But
yeah, I mean, Barrera didn't say anything, and it's her call, really, because Caparros, you're kind of focusing on getting into position and hitting your return, and you've got your doubles partner who's standing along the service line, and it was her job really to say in or out. She didn't say anything, the umpire didn't say anything. 15 love, the serve stands. Takes over, Araujo.
nice little change in the angle there. And
seeing a bit more of a skip.
Yeah,
it's like glowing. Come on, come on. Seeing a bit more of a skip in the step here of Las Vegas Smash. Oh, slightly fortunate smash.
Yeah, 40 love, but it does mean they have got 4 match points. 1 hour and 24 minutes.
Striking the ball really well. Sofia. Great reflexes. Races.
She's going to get there.
And she does. She was excellent in that final game.
For Las Vegas match.
So there you have it. 6-4, 7-5. We thought it might be pretty close, but the first blood in this match goes to the Las Vegas Smash. Sofia Araujo and Martita Ortega.
Really turned on the style.
Getting the better.
Paul in that final service game, hitting lots of winners. Great coordination. We're seeing Martita quickly duck out of the way, leaving space for a doubles partner to hit some brilliant shots. Martita also winning a good smash. It clipped Barrera's foot. In the end, a love service game. Tough match for the top-ranked players, but they'll be delighted. They now have to sit back, see how the rest of the games go today to find out. On Sunday, will they be playing for maximum points, or will they be playing for third or fourth?
Yeah, exactly. I think we'll see them on Sunday. Whether it'll be in the third or fourth place match or the first and second, well, we'll find out. It could depend quite a lot on what happens, for example, in our matches between San Diego and the Flow Rider Goats. It's going to be decided, I think, not just on wins, but possibly also on the number of sets that one has won or dropped. Anyhow, that is the women's match closed off. We will be back. We will hear from the protagonists in a minute, from the winners, and then we'll be back in a few moments with the men's match. Gonzalo Alonso and Chisco Hill for Las Vegas Smash, and Alberto Trabanco and Pepe Aliaga for the vaults. Arantxa and Javi on court already, waiting to hear from our protagonists. So we'll wait to hear what Martita Ortega and Sofia Araujo have to say, and I'll say au revoir for a couple of minutes, and then we'll be back with the second match.
Hello, Wayfair Arena, and welcome once again. What a way to start this day, the third one on this PPL 2025, and it's time to hear the first winners of this day.
Bueno, enhorabuena, Sofía Araujo, Martita Ortega. Enhorabuena, chicas. Lo primero, la victoria, la habéis conseguido. Otra vez firmes candidatas, como el año pasado ya lo hicisteis aquí en Miami. Martita, de nuevo jugando con Sofía. Enhorabuena por la victoria.
First of all, we want to hear your words about this victory, because once again, you are the candidates to get the title.
Bueno, súper contentas de estar aquí un año más, como dijimos el otro día. Creo que este año el evento ha salido muchísimo mejor y es un espectáculo. Muy feliz de que se nos haya unido Sofi al equipo. Yo creo que lo vamos a hacer muy bien y también vamos a disfrutar, que es de lo que se trata. Y bueno, mañana iremos a por todas, esté quien esté enfrente, a por todas a intentarlo.
So tomorrow we have to go for everything. Tomorrow this continues, and we're very happy that Sofi has become part of this team.
Bueno, y Sofía, bienvenida a la PPL, bienvenida al equipo de Las Vegas. ¿Cómo te han acogido? Cuéntanos cómo ha sido ese recibimiento del equipo, cómo estás de nuevo jugando con Martita y además consiguiendo la victoria. Enhorabuena.
First of all, welcome to Las Vegas for being part of this Las Vegas Smash team. And how are you dealing with this team, with your partner, with Sofi?
Bueno, la verdad que muy contenta de estar aquí en la PPL, más en Las Vegas. El equipo me ha recibido muy bien. Así que nada, muy contenta de jugar otra vez con Marta y ojalá que mañana podamos dar otro punto al equipo, que es lo importante. Pero nada, a disfrutar de este torneo, que es increíble.
Well, let's continue, Javi.
Enhorabuena, Sofía Araujo, Martita Ortega. Enhorabuena, chicas, y que nadie se mueva porque viene el partido de los chicos entre estos dos mismos equipos. Hasta ahora.